Hey there, it's Blair here at Time Trades. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. Today is Sunday, July 9th, and this is your weekly video. Okay, so what you're looking at here is NQ futures, NASDAQ futures, and we've got our big bullish beach ball here. This is anchored to the almost the all-time high on December 29th, 2021. And then the center of the beach ball is just above the low on October 13th, 2022. So what I am building here is a case for a high coming up on late July, early August. All right, so we've got timing for what is a pivot here. I believe it's going to be a pivot high, but I'm also going to be emphasizing some techniques that can protect us against a potential decline in price, because what we think could be a pivot high could turn into a pivot low. But I will outline both cases and why, and also my rationale for why I think it's a pivot high. Okay, so why do I think it's going to be a pivot, for one? Okay, so we've got the end of this beach ball here, which basically indicates time spent going down is equal to time spent going up. All right, so that's data point number one. The other data point relates to something called the cheat code indicator in time trades. If we go to our time trade script and we turn on the cheat code, we can see that we have two sets of lines. We have purple lines and we have teal lines. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see the track record of the teal lines in identifying significant pivots is really quite good. We can, going back to like August 2021 and February 22, in August 2022, there was a pair of them which bracketed the high very cleanly. This is probably the least best example over here in January of 2023. And we have another one coming up on July 26, 2023. So that's coming up over here. All right, and that is right in the middle of my green timing bands here for a pivot. Okay, so that's reason number two, the cheat code. Reason number three, if we go and take a look at the time trades forecast over here, we can see that we have a number of, let's take a look at SPX and NDX. We can see we have a spike in probabilities of a pivot in early August, late July. You can see how the brown levels spike up here. This is the probability of a pivot. We're not saying what direction it is. We're not forecasting that. We're just saying there's a higher likelihood of a pivot high or a pivot low around this time. And that also lines up nicely with the mass pressure index that you see there. Okay, so that's SPX. Let's take a look at NDX. NDX also is similar here. July 28th, we see the peak in a pivot probability. All right. Now, this does not line up perfectly with the Qs. If we go and take a look at the Qs, we can see the probability of a pivot spikes in August 18th. We get a lower top here on August 1st of about 33%. So there's still a mild peak in pivot probability in early August, late July, but it's not quite as strong as NDX, SPX. Okay, so that's the third reason why I think there's going to be a pivot in that time window. So over here, we've got our time window. That is July 25th to August 3rd, and it brackets the cheat code teal as well as the end of that bullish beach ball over there. Okay, so why I think it's going to be a pivot high, despite Friday's fairly ugly afternoon. We got this ugly candle here on Friday after a big move up in the morning, and that was completely retraced in the afternoon. Why do I think this is going to be a high and not a low? Okay, so number one, if we go and take a look in time trades, we have an indicator here called the juice indicator. Juice is an indication of alignments between the planets, and we've got two juice spikes coming up, the first on July 11th and the second on July 18th. These tend to be bullish. You can go and take a look at the historical track record here. Juice spikes do have a history of being bullish here, and you can see the alignment with green candles is pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, nothing ever is, but it does line up more often than not with a green candle. Secondly, price is above all the key Gann fans. So the Gann fans is really my primary trend indicator. So if we go and turn those on, and these are Gann fans that are anchored to the Mars cycle. So if we go and take a look at these price right now is above all major Gann fans. So that's in a bullish configuration. And while we've had such an amazing run up here since really late April, and then again, we got another boost in mid-May. So you can see how Gann fans pushed, how prices pushed up. We're above the white magic level in the NASDAQ. We lost it 2 weeks ago and reclaimed it quite strongly. We also had a nice recovery from touching that white magic level on Thursday. So that doesn't mean it won't come down, but my point is that it could come all the way back down to the high 14,000s and still be in a bullish configuration. I think what's important, though, is that it reclaims that white magic level as soon as possible. If it does drop down into this area, we've got really three key levels of support here. We've got the white magic level. We've got this blue Gann fan that goes all the way back to, it's a 2x1 going back to this Mars cycle on August 2019. Okay, so that 2x1 there is pretty important. And we can see how it's controlled price in the past. It's provided support, it's provided resistance, it's provided resistance. And when price dropped through this 2x1 Gann fan in August of 2022, that was a very important date, because it really triggered this final push down into the October low. So we'll be watching this Gann fan really closely. Price didn't like to be below it on June 27th. We got a little probe down, and then price popped back up quite quickly. So that's the second level of support. And the third level of support is this 1x2 down here at like 14,800. So I would expect any one of these three levels to provide some really good support early in the week. The other thing that's happening astrology-wise is the moon is entering Taurus on Tuesday the 11th. Tuesday the 11th also happens to be a cheat code purple day, which tends to align with pumps and often afternoon sell-offs. So, however, I mentioned the moon because Jupiter is also in Taurus. So when the moon is in the same sign as Jupiter, that's often bullish. This is a discovery made by Marsilio on Twitter. So shout out to him for this co-alignment of Moon being in the same sign as Jupiter. That's happening on Tuesday this week, and that also aligns with a cheat code purple day. So that has the potential to be a bullish day. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some follow through from Friday's sell-off coming forward into Monday. All right, so those are some of the key highlights there of this week. So if we were to draw a updated forecast on roughly where I think price is going to go, let's find our path tool here, and we can update our forecast path. I think we're going to see, a little bit of follow through down into Monday. So let's just start at the right level here. We want it to start there. Maybe a little follow through here and finding support somewhere between this white magic level and this Gann fan. But then we get some of the positive astro. Of course, we've got some huge news coming up on Wednesday and Thursday with CPI and PPI. I have no idea how that's going to shake out, but I do think that given everything else that we're seeing here, and for the reasons I mentioned, I still think we push up into this target area. So I'm going to shoot for this target area here that's up in the low 16,000s. One of the key reasons why I'm choosing that area as opposed to others is just the symmetry with the prior all-time high. This bullish beach ball does, it has provided support on the way down. It's provided support on the way up. So I do think we're going to challenge all-time highs here in late July. But we also want to make sure that these Gann fans here continue to hold. If for some reason these Gann fans do not hold, then this price forecast is invalidated. All right, so we need to combine price and time together. This is our forecast assuming these Gann fan levels hold here. However, if we get some really bad CPI or PPI numbers, we could easily come back down, and this pivot could be a pivot low instead of a pivot high. All right, so something to be aware of. Definitely want to manage your risk into these news events here. This is the forecast assuming a relatively neutral to positive CPI to PPI number this week. All right. So that's where we stand on stocks. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin and what else we have going on here. We'll go and take a look at Bitcoin in time trades. So let's turn off the juice and we can turn on Gann fans. So with Bitcoin, we've been in really a correction in time here. And what I'm looking at down here is this little spike in pivot probability on July 11th. It's really, really low. It's not something that normally interests me. However, it does indicate a potential changing character in Bitcoin. So we also see a ramping up of move probabilities after Tuesday, July 11th as well. So I think this could be a really key date, especially with some of the important astrology that we talked about earlier. So let's go and update our Gann fans here. And I do love working with Gann fans. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just dragging the price index to get some good alignment here between these lines. And all the lines on the chart, it's actually, I think it makes it a lot easier to work with because we're adjusting the angle for all of these fans, not just one or two of them. And we can see here how some of these fans provide support on the way down, and we can see how price really boosted up after this crossing of the two Gann fans. So let's see if we have any crosses coming up in the Gann fans. We do have one coming up around July 13th. So one of the things you'll notice is when Gann fans cross, they do tend to indicate important changes in trend in price or potential big moves. So that's something to be aware of. And I kind of like this this aspect ratio here on Bitcoin. What we're seeing is prices holding it and consolidating really well in this zone. We're just above this 1 by 1 up from 0 on that's anchored to the September 21st, 2022 date. And we can see how this cross here, I'm going to zoom in so it's easier to see. We can see how this cross here really sort of kicked off this move up. And then that ended on this Gann fan cross here. And we've got this Gann fan cross on July 5th started a move down. We found support on this Gann fan moving up. And now we're over here looking at this one on July 12th, 13th, that area, as well as this little pivot on July 11th. So given the price action that we're seeing here, and given the behavior of the dollar last week, I would have a bullish bias on Bitcoin, and I'd interpret this increase in moves to be probabilities of a bullish move. So let's go and take a look at the dollar. The dollar had a very interesting week last week. It really got smashed on Friday. And this is where the pivot probabilities are super useful, because we can anticipate this move down continuing until the next pivot window, which is around July 20th. And there's additional pivot windows a week later, July 27th or so. So the dollar down is a bullish tailwind for stocks and crypto. And it should also be a bullish tailwind for gold. And we can see that here. So here's gold with Gann fans on. And one of the things I do like to test to make sure that the Gann fans are in the right place is look for big moves at a crossing of a 1 by 1. So here's a gap up on a crossing of a 1 by 1. And here's a big red candle down again on another crossing of a 1 by 1. Okay, so we can make some minor adjustments here to this if we want, but yeah, I kind of like that. That looks pretty good to me. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing, again, another probability of a pivot on July 11th. And then after that, we see some increasing probabilities of moves into July 20th. And again, with the dollar breaking down the way it did on Friday, I would interpret this as a bullish move up. It looks like it's finding support on these Gann fans here. So that would be bullish. And our next Gann fan cross is over here, July 14th. So it looks like we've got a bit of a bullish tailwind here for gold as well. Let's wrap things up by taking a look at the Nifty. Now, the Nifty had a huge last couple of weeks, boosting up from 18,700 or so to 19,500. What I love about the Nifty is just how it respects these Gann fans. If you can get any sort of purchase in this little margin here between these two fans, that's turned out to be very, very good. And we popped up here to this upper pair of fans that are providing support and resistance so far. I wouldn't be surprised to see this move up to this next magic level here at 19,000. 777 or so. 783 is that that magic level. Okay, so that's it for today. I want to remind you all to please trade safe, manage your risk, and combine time and price. And good luck this week. We will talk to you again next week. Thank you. Bye now.